guys, we're back with another video with our Healing Diaries series, and I've been dropping these very spaced out. So yeah, we're gonna stop doing that. We're gonna start just releasing them, and I just kind of pretty much want to get this series not over with, but just release them so that way whoever is watching them, y'all can really fully benefit from them, benefit from me uploading them on a more consistent basis. It was originally supposed to be 10 episodes. However, I did sneak in an extra episode that I just kind of came up with or realized as I am on my healing journey. And that was my previous episode about isolation and solitude, because that's ironically what I ended up doing again. It was just isolating myself and going back into solitude. But we're coming out of the show now. You know, it's time to get out the show. Anywho, just to recap, first episodes, I'm going to link it, my playlist, so you guys can watch them. I don't have these in a specific, well, I kind of have them in a specific order, but not really. I feel like I'm just kind of building off of the previous. So it's the very first episode I talked about self-worth, self-love, knowing your self-worth, knowing yourself, you know, loving yourself, knowing your self-value, and exercising that, and also, you know, making sure other people are exercising it and know your worth and actually applying it. So then we talked about boundaries, the importance of boundaries, of enforcing boundaries on others, but also the main important one is really enforcing boundaries within yourself, because when you have boundaries within yourself, you don't really have to enforce them onto other people. I feel like it's really us that breaks our own boundaries, and that's what allows other people to break them. So if you are enforcing them and you're starting with the boundaries you have in place within yourself, whatever that looks like for you, then you don't really have to extend that out to other people, unless, you know, it depends. It's case by case scenario. And then I talk about being in isolation and solitude, and how, you know, really it's important to just kind of separate yourself, and really spend time with yourself, and probably once you're really in that point of being intentional with your healing journey, and just intentional with just how you move and how you operate, you're not going to find yourself being around any and everybody, and you're gonna limit, you know, your communication and limit how many people have access to you. At least I did, and that was my previous episode, was pretty much all about. And now we're just going to continue, and we're going to talk about accountability. That I feel like is the main thing when it comes to healing, whether it is accountability of other people, whether it's accountability within yourself. However, accountability is key and it's essential. And the 2 points that I have for accountability is, what role did you play in your trauma? If you played a role, did you play a role? Sometimes, a lot of times, we probably don't. When I say don't, it's when something's happening to you, a traumatic experience where you literally had no control, and it was simply someone doing something horrible to you, and you were just on the receiving end of that, of someone doing something horrible to you. Where in that case, you're going to reflect on the accountability of that person that done something horrible to you, or done whatever it is to you. And with accountability, I feel like that's important when it comes to healing, because it's honestly the first thing you do, I feel like, as someone who wants to be more intentional with your life and intentional with how you maneuver, who you surround yourself around, what you do, whatever. Accountability is a main part of that, because especially when it comes to healing, I feel like a lot of the times we find ourselves pointing the fingers in the very beginning of, this person did this to me, this person did this to me, this person did that to me, and that's true. Not to say that they didn't do these things. However, I'm speaking more in the lens of situations like how someone is treating you, and it coinciding with you're not just exercising your self-love, your self-worth, your self-value, or having those boundaries in place. Because I'm kind of building off of those previous episodes. For myself, or for just an example, I'm speaking towards the lens of, like, you know, someone being disrespectful towards you, or how someone is just consistently putting you to the back burner, or treating you that's just not in alignment with your self-worth and your value, however you're worthy of being treated and what you're deserving of. But you have to hold yourself accountable as well. Like, it's easy to say, yeah, this person lied to me, or this person betrayed me, or this person didn't treat me like a friend, or this person, whatever it is, whatever happened, right? Whatever the situation may be, that you sit and reflect on, okay, well, yeah, that person did all those things, but what role do I play in that, right? What role do I play in my own trauma? What role do I play in what I'm having to heal from? You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times there's things that we're healing from our childhood, from how we were raised, brought up, or just simply things that we were just in that situation or scenario that really had nothing to do with us and the role that we played, but more so the role that we play in that situation, was it just happening to us, right? And in those scenarios, then you have to learn to forgive that person who obviously are not holding themselves accountable, or did not hold themselves accountable, or just incapable of doing so. Because I'm learning that when it comes to forgiveness, I'm going to kind of tie forgiveness into this, is a lot of the times that we are healing from things that, the reason why it's taken so long to really heal from something and to really get over it, in a sense, and not find yourself constantly in a loop or feeling triggered by something, is because that person had not apologized, or at the very least held themselves accountable and said, this is what I did wrong to you, and I apologize that my actions resulted in you feeling this way, or whatever, however it transpired. For myself, that's really what it is. Like, a lot of the things that I'm healing from are from the ways in which people have treated me, and them gaslighting, right? Or just not holding themselves accountable, or just instead of acknowledging, like, I'm telling you this is what you did and how it made me feel and how it's affected me, saying, well, I apologize for that, they're like, oh, okay, well, this is what I did and why I did it, versus just acknowledging and holding themselves accountable for their own actions. And so I feel like accountability is really, really important, because for me, there's things that I'm healing from that I play a role in that. And I had to finally take the time and reflect, like, Gabby, you play a role in the things that you're healing from, because you allowed so much to happen for so long from multiple different people, that had you started enforcing those boundaries on yourself and other people, really loving yourself and exercising how much you love yourself and your self-worth and value, it wouldn't have gone as bad as it did. It wouldn't be so much things that you're having to heal from, and you're finding yourself in these repeated type of relationships and these repeated cycles and having to learn these same different lessons, had you just finally held your own self accountable for the role that you have played in all of these things, right? And again, I'm going to reiterate, there are some things that people are, healing from or having to heal from, that they don't play any role besides the role of it happening to them. And that, there's different ways in which you're going to obviously heal from those type of things. And so, yeah, I just feel like it's really important to hold yourself accountable, especially when it comes to, like, you're being someone who's always thinking of other people before, yourselves, or just being very considerate of other people and their feelings. You find yourself consistently always putting your own self to the back burner, or your own needs and feelings to the back burner. I feel like I'm a very, very understanding person. I try to understand, like, everything. Like, I like learning. So I especially like to learn how other people are and what makes them who they are, because I feel like our upbringings and our experiences and the places that we've been, the people that we've met and experienced, all those things together are what creates who we are and how we maneuver. So I'm someone who likes to learn those type of things about other people, especially because I'm very considerate of other people and compassionate of other people and their, the things that they've gone through. So I like to make sure that I'm not doing anything to overstep a boundary or to trigger them in any way. And so, I just feel like, I don't know, it's just important to really, I kind of lost my train of thought just now. It's just really important to really self-reflect, and do, like, your introspection, do that self-analysis of what is it that, this experience taught me, and then also holding yourself accountable through your healing process. Because I feel like once you're being very intentional with your healing, because I kind of talked about in my previous episode of, like, of just healing, I feel like we've always been healing in some capacity, but we just didn't call it healing. And majority of it is you're slapping a band-aid on something and thinking that it's fixing the problem, and really you're just subsiding it, or you're acting as if it's not there. And that's something that I know that I've done pretty much my entire life, until I finally start being more intentional with healing and actually calling it a healing journey, and realizing that there's things that I've had to heal from and I'm still healing from, because I feel like we're always consistently healing. So it's our job to hold ourselves accountable to even within our healing process. Let me say it that way. So even in your healing process, it's important for you to hold yourself accountable for how you are reacting currently, so that you don't find yourself in those same scenarios or those same encounters or same cycles of the things that you've experienced prior. Because I feel like, in some cases, depending on what you're healing from, it's built up, it's pent up, because you've now that you're being more intentional, you're more aware of everything. You're like, oh wow, I'm having to heal from the same things, from different encounters of different type of people and situations, but the same theme is what's being applied through each situation, if that makes sense. So for example, I feel like for me, a theme of which I found of me having to heal from is realizing that because I'm so compassionate towards other people and I'm so quick to easily put myself to the back burner and not exercise my self-worth, self-love, self-value, I found myself in the same type of relationships with the same types of people, with different people I should say, but it's pretty much one-sided. Me doing a whole lot, me pouring into them, me giving a lot, even with my family, me always being a giver, everyone else being a receiver, and me feeling bad or feeling some type of way of never having to receive. And so I realized, or feeling some type of way because of people consistently putting me to the back burner, I'm always being like an afterthought to everyone. But it's like I had to respect, like, Gabby, you make yourself an afterthought first, which is why of course the other people wouldn't think less or think twice about what they're doing, whether they're aware of it or not. Probably wasn't no one's intentions. I'm not saying that it is anyone's intentions, but because I made that the foundation of majority of like the encounters or relationships that I've had in some capacity with people, that's pretty much what it's always been. So much to the point where now I'm just like, yeah, that's not serving me. Me always servicing other people and servicing every single one around me and no one being able to provide anything in return isn't servicing me. It's not even a real relationship. I could have easily pointed the finger, and I did at some point. You say, oh, these people just didn't care about me and they don't da. But it's just like, Gabby, you have to care about yourself first. You have to hold yourself accountable for the fact that you allowed that to happen for so long, with different people having to be put in these same type of situations for you to finally learn this lesson. Like, you have to start pouring into yourself first. You have to not just know your self-worth and your self-value and say that you love yourself, but actually exercise it, actually apply it, actually act on it. And how much you're so valuable and you're so deserving of all these things, but then you're settling for less, or you're allowing less, you're consistently tolerating it. So I feel like for this episode, I really want people to really think about and instill into their head, like, what is it that you're healing from, that you are having to heal from because you didn't hold yourself accountable sooner, before it got as worse as it did. Let me say it that way. So I feel like I want to speak more to the aspect of how, a lot of everything in life is happening for us, and whether the result of what is happening is for us to finally learn a lesson or to finally realize what it is that you are worthy of and start actually acting on that and allowing your life to only manifest that externally. Where do you play a role in the things you're healing from, have healed from, and how can you hold yourself accountable so much to the fact that you can be more mindful of those small little cues, from whatever the relationship, the person, or whatever environment, so that you're like, oh, I don't find myself in the same situation. Because now moving forward, I'm never going to find myself always being someone that's always giving to someone else, always reaching out to someone else, but no one's doing that for me. Accountability, you guys, it's essential. It's important to hold yourself accountable, and realize, that everything does happen for a reason, I feel, and because everything happens for reasons, it all helps and equips you to continue to be the person that you are, or the person that you evolve and grow into. And I feel like all of these things that I'm healing from, even things outside of relationships or what I've mentioned, I'm healing from, is accountability of how are you going to allow that to affect your life, and are you going to allow it to affect your life? How is it going? Are you going to allow it to affect how you are moving forward with other people? So everything has an outcome, and the outcome of that is solely based off of your perception and how you look at it and how you maneuver moving forward. Accountability, it's very important, you guys. It is very, very important. And I feel like I hold myself accountable now. I'm a lot more intentional now and more mindful of everything that I'm doing, everyone that I'm speaking to, the places that I go to, everything. Like, I'm also holding myself accountable to forgive my own self for what I did allow, and realizing, like, damn, you didn't have to, like, you tolerated all these things, and in the moment you probably knew like you obviously were worth more than that, but you were still willing to settle for it because I guess, you know, in some way I feel like things serve us even when it's something bad, deemed bad to you. Because even good and bad is perception. It's all about perception. But I feel like even in those moments when you are tolerating something that you know you deserve way more than, it's something or part of you that is kind of feeding towards, and that's why you're still accepting it or tolerating it. For me, I would say that it was me being in those one-sided relationships was feeding my mindset, or I guess more so feeding a part of which I didn't receive. So growing up, I never had someone that I can go to. I've always used to say, and I still do say this sometimes, just in a different way. Now maneuvering forward with the phrase is, be the person you wish you had growing up. That was my like motto for like everyone, like literally any person I would meet. My mind is like, okay, ooh, you don't have this, or you need some type of guidance, or you need some type of advice, or whatever it is. I've always would think back, like me growing up didn't have that. So me being able to be that for someone else fed that part of which it fed the me that never experienced it, because it made me, you know, feel great to know like, damn, I can help someone else not have to live a life or experience life in that moment of which they're meeting me, and not have someone that they can go to. And so that, because I had that motto, it literally had me in a whole bunch of one-sided relationships. It was ridiculous. But now I'm just like, no, you know, be the person you wish you had growing up, but be that person for yourself first before you go trying to be that for someone else. And also, you know, when you are doing that, be mindful of the people you're doing it for, because that doesn't make it a relationship or a friendship with that person, because you're doing that. So I kind of misperceived it as something else than what it really was, and that is what resulted in me going down this entire, you know, journey of learning my self-worth and value and actually applying it and exercising it, because there's a difference of knowing it. Knowing something is literally just knowing it. It's just knowledge. Like I can know this and I can, but until you apply the lessons that you're learning, until you're applying what you know and allowing it to materialize, that is when real work is done, and that is when actions are being taken, and then you can have different outcomes. Because I knew my self-worth and my self-value and what I was worthy of and deserving of my entire life. I never not knew that. Trust me. But until I started exercising it, my life didn't change. You know, the outcome didn't change until now. So hold yourself accountable. What areas can you hold yourself accountable moving forward or right now in your healing journey, in your self journey, in your journey of just living this thing that we call life? How can you make a difference in your life for you by just being different? What can you do differently? Or what lessons did you realize that you finally had to learn in that process of holding yourself accountable and reflecting on the role that you did or did not play, or whatever happened or transpired that you're having to heal from? That is what accountability is all about. True accountability starts with holding yourself accountable with yourself, and if it involves another party, with that person as well. So yeah, I definitely had to be in some conversations with people and be like, yeah, this is what I did and it was wrong, and I'm sorry, and I apologize, and I acknowledge how you feel, and I acknowledge how it made you feel, and I validate, you know, not I validate it, it's not my place to validate or invalidate anything, but I acknowledge it. Accountability, people, is very important. It's very essential, and it takes you a lot farther in life when you are just more aware of yourself and you're more willing and open to change yourself and stop trying to always point the finger of other people having to change. True change starts with you, and if you want change to materialize outside of you, you have to start changing. You have to change within yourself first anyways. That's how it all works. As within, so without. So that was this episode, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm actually going to just record the next episode, and you're going to see me looking just like this. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.